Yeah, well, no, no. So here's a little bit of stepping outward. Like my priority for the next, well, for the next 6 months especially, but really the next year and starting in January is to give more to give a clearer, stronger voice for people who are using IPFS and the things they're trying, and giving that a voice that is very like that the people working on the code of IPFS hear those ideas and see it and hear about what people are running into much more prominently. Like have that be a very prominent part of the community discussion and dialogue. And the way I'm trying to approach that is I'm planning to try approaching that is to try to build more communities of practice. So, for example, do you feel like you run into other geneticists who are also interested in doing this, or are you trying to find more geneticists who want to work on this together? And is there anything we can do to help you start that dialogue or facilitate that dialogue?
Yeah, I think the struggle right now is that so the latest version, which is the STU, the standard for trial use version 3 of our draft spec, very much a political hot potato right now, and so we had a huge pressure from the White House and from the medical societies actually to have this spec done before the fall for obvious political reasons for enabling a precision medicine initiative from Obama. And so unfortunately we pushed out a spec too soon, and so really haven't really fleshed out a lot of the details. So I think the challenge is that the geneticists or the other people who are on the clinical genomics working group, it's sort of not on the radar. We're trying just to agree that what we should name the attribute for reference genome. So very much that's where we're at right now, and arguing should it be a 0-based or a 1-based index. So typical computer science, 0 being the first in an array, but other people will say, oh no, we've been doing it like starting at the number 1 for years, and so we've been arguing about just issues like that, not necessarily implementing some of the. Hey, you want to say hi too? And the doggy. Hi. All right. So, but I think it's so we've been arguing a lot about that, but I think what I want to do is actually have this more fleshed out and present it as a proposal of like actually have it mostly solved and get buy-in, because actually I've done a lot of work to actually to solve it. I think that would probably be a better solution, is actually just build it, just test it out, and then show them, hey, this solves so many different problems, and here's actually how to do that.
So would it be helpful or encouraging for you to be? I mean, it sounds like you're already in contact with lots of other geneticists. I'm wondering if it would be helpful for me to be trying to encourage those people who are like you, who are interested in applying within your field, applying these technologies, providing some sort of venue for you to be talking to each other and trying things out together in order to craft those proposals or those samples of like proofs of concept. Would that be helpful, or is it easier to just sort of work on it and put it out there?
Well, I think you guys are busy enough actually working on the spec, and I think certainly I can handle and just basically do it. And so my genetic testing lab is like, we somewhat conform to the spec, but actually and the ideal in HL7 and FIRE, there's actually this idea of profiles. So actually I can create my own model and post it, and so right now probably link it to the HTTP gateway of here it is on as a way to resolve where my JSON model lives, and it's using a gateway approach, and then and then define my own model and actually just solve it. And this is technically it's actually valid use of the spec. So I think, but I think mostly I probably is actually being a part of these conversations to handle what if scenarios of actually how, for instance, attributes for IPLD. I think that's something that still, as I'm sort of a bit, but I think I have to understand and then figure out how we're actually going to solve those. But I need to go because I promised my kids to go bring them to the movie theater today, and it looks like everyone's ready and waiting for me.
Which movie are you going to?
Sing.
All right. Fun.
The original plan was my parents were going to take the kids to Sing, and my wife and I were going to go see Passengers. But it sounds like we're stuck all going to see Sing, so which is all right.
Well, I hope it's good.
All right, but I'm happy to follow up and actually just kick this idea around. And this
Great.
is probably good timing because you guys are sort of on a light schedule with the holidays, so actually to sort of bring up these ideas. And so, but in the meantime, I'm building this out and using IPFS into the pipeline more and more. And I think, but certainly, what I'll do is actually I'll be happy to present at one of your apps on IPFS calls to sort of actually show here's an example of what we built, and actually. And I'd love to get some feedback.
Awesome. That sounds great.
All right. Meanwhile, I got to go.
Enjoy the movie.
All right. Happy holidays.
See ya.
Happy holidays, man. Catch you.
Hey, Kamavis, you have anything you want to talk about?
Hello. I'm surrounded by children, so I don't know if you'll be able to hear me.
We can hear you.
Well, yeah. Good morning.
So this week's call is like totally informal. We're just sort of whoever dials in can chit chat about whatever you want to chit chat about.
So. I actually have sticky buns that have been cooling. I was supposed to eat them 45 minutes ago, but there was no good time, so I'm going to go eat them now.
Okay.
I want one. Cool. Yeah, so I guess I don't have anything specific. I'm sort of rounding off the first version of Ethereum on IPLD, which has been really neat. It's kind of a zoo working with all the dependencies and like all the forks of the dependencies, or the branches of the dependencies that have moved over to SID from multi-hashes. You kind of have to assemble the dependency graph very manually.
So is this similar to? Are you basically doing what Jeremy did with Zcash, but you're doing it with Ethereum?
I'm not sure what he's done with Zcash, but my guess is yes.
The main thing that he did, obviously the Zcash blockchain is a lot smaller than the Ethereum blockchain at this point, but he's wrote the entire blockchain onto IPFS as IPLD, using IPLD, and then you can use IPLD resolvers to resolve individual transactions and even navigate between transactions on the blockchain.
Yeah. It's precisely that, except that because Ethereum's like a general state machine, being able to look at all that state has made it a bit more complex.
Cool.
And also I'm learning the IPFS stack for the first time. So
yeah, that's also I think this is great then as a test of the person who implemented most of those dependencies and is currently pushing them forward. He was able to use them all together very efficiently and build this proof of concept. But then to see someone who is not one of those maintainers try to do effectively the same thing using those same libraries, I think it'll be very informative to see where are the things that maybe to Jeremy it's obvious, you need this version of this thing because we changed it last week, where that hasn't, because things are moving so fast, it's probably downright impossible for you to know a lot of that stuff until you run into it.
Exactly. But it's, I started maybe over a month ago, just sort of starting to look through IPFS and see how it's actually built. And so I've been stumbling through it for a while, and now I have an idea of how it all fits together. Minus the networking stack, I don't know anything about that yet. I
think it would be great if you wanted to give any form of a report or rundown of like, here are the things I ran into, here are the things where the documentation was great and easy and I didn't have to scratch my head much, and here are the things where I got confused and stuck and it kind of should have been easier.
Mm-hmm.
That would be super useful for us.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you don't have time to write it up, even if we did a quick call at some point,
Mm-hmm.
in like late January, to just let you.
Yeah, I need to start documenting like my stumbling blocks, or I'm gonna forget them.
Please do write them down as you run into them. Like even if you can hand off even if it's just a scratch pad of like a text file that's just like ran into this, ran into that, that would be useful. Even that, to tease apart and be like, how could we make it easier? That would be super, super useful.
Yeah. Also thinking, because we're on the Ethereum side, we're looking at rewriting some of the implementations of the Ethereum objects, and I'm thinking about like how can we do it in a way that is more friendly to IPFS and things like this. So, like one example is our state tree, and that's a big old Merkle tree, and it's not meant to like recurse one node at a time, which is more appropriate to what you need to do inside of a resolver. And I don't know, we make a lot of assumptions like you have all the data locally on your machine and things like this. Yeah, okay. I'd be happy to report my experience. One of the hard parts is just getting
Sorry, I didn't realize I was muting.
Having people that are awake at the same time.
Yes, that is certainly a challenge. You're in Seattle, right?
Yeah.
So you do roughly align with Jeremy's.
Yeah, but I'm mostly, because I'm working with the JavaScript implementations, I'm mostly like trying to talk to David or.
I didn't realize that. Yeah, so you're dealing. Yeah, by the time you wake up, they're at the end of their day.
At the very end, but not like.
Actually, we have something. Maybe I should go in another room. We have something that we should discuss, and that is we're going to hold a IPFS Ethereum hackathon in Seattle in February.
Cool.
I think we already have a sponsor set up. I don't know if we need a sponsor, but that might be cool. So it's kind of becoming like a public event. Originally, it was just going to be like some Ethereum peeps and David Diaz and whoever wants to come hang out that likes Ethereum and IPFS. And then told some other people about it, and they got excited about it, and it's turning into more of a public-facing thing as well.
Great. Cool.
So let's see. There is IPFS. We have a ticket for it in IPFS community, I guess.
Yeah, I've been seeing the comments sort of evolving on that as you're figuring out venue and stuff.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so I've never really organized a hackathon before. I've certainly helped, like one-on-one peering at them, but.
Can you maybe mention Richard again in there and specifically ask him, would you want advice on how to structure the hackathon, since it's sort of grown? You were able to do it informally, and now it's growing into this thing that might need more planning. Richard has planned hackathons before, so he might be a really good one to ask for advice on how to structure that. And yeah, so if you just mention him on the issue, he'll probably respond. He's actually you saw he's dialed into this, but he went away to eat some baked goods. And, I've actually got to go answer a door right now, so I have to sign off. But it's good talking.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll add a little note on there and explain the context that this was originally just like a hangout for existing developers and is becoming a bigger thing.
Yeah. I think the baseline thing is also, since that's how it evolved, there's sort of no way to do it wrong.
Yeah.
If it's a first gathering like that, and you have the problem of too many people being too enthusiastic, it's like just letting people get together and talk about whatever they talk about. Maybe emphasize more, have at least some time delineated, set aside for people who are more knowledgeable to just talk, to just get everyone else up to speed.
Right.
I think is like, that's a valuable, important thing. And then and do that earlier, because then the people, if someone showed up mainly because they were curious, so they have less information, or they're curious and excited, to give them some like solid piece of information of like personal account of the technologies and how they work, that might be their main takeaway from the whole thing. Is like, I got to hear someone talk about what it's like to use this stuff. And then if the conversations dive into something that's sort of out of reach for a newbie, that's okay, because then they're like getting to be a fly on the wall, and if they get bored, they can go home. So you don't necessarily need to slow everything down to accommodate people, especially if you, at the very beginning, sort of provide some information. That you sort of acknowledge the curious people and give them something to chew on. That's my main angle on it.
That is good advice. Is there someone I could contact that uses, like we were just hearing from, who uses IPFS as part of their work and is not like IPFS for IPFS's sake? That would be really cool to hear from them.
Can you mention that? I have to go answer the door right now. Mention that in the GitHub issue, and maybe at Flying Zumwalt also, and I will follow up on that. We can try to find people.
All right. Thanks.
All right. Thank you. Take care. I don't even know how I leave.